What is happening, y'all? Welcome. I'm back. Let's get back to it. See where things go from here. Happy ending, credit roll, post-game activities. And there we are. So, let's do a proper review during the credit roll. I think that'll work out. Because obviously did not get a chance to review this one at launch. But finally got through it. So, I'm not sure what our playtime is on this save. I would guess we clocked in somewhere around the 40-hour mark, and obviously there is still post-game content to do, as well as just, you know, whether or not I wanted to fuse even bigger monsters. So obviously definitely a lot of bang for your buck on this title. But to start, let's talk about the core gameplay. So compared to a lot of monster type games, this is really close to peak for me. I mean, the fact that we can set tactics to them, we can you know, set priority for certain moves, we can still individually use moves if we want, we can have them just full on auto battle, we can have them fight single rounds. There is a huge amount of flexibility in how the combat takes place in this game, and especially given the you know, rather simplistic nature of just, you know, kind of running through beating monsters and whatnot. I think the auto battle system in particular is a huge boon here, because, you know, I'm thinking about, like, you know, say Pokemon or Shin Megami Tensei. I think those are the two most apt comparisons here. And there is a point where you're like, you know, at the end, when you're just kind of blasting through enemies, you're like, okay, use this, you use this, you use this. And I know Shin Megami Tensei has like an auto battle, but if I remember, I want to say they just attack. I don't think they will like go through and use their abilities. And that's one of the things that really surprised me, I think, about the auto battle system here, is especially if you set up tactics and you prioritize certain moves, like the AI was quite intelligent. You know, Corvus was out there putting up breath defense before the enemy was trying to get breath attacks, and then he was getting up attack buffs and defensive buffs. Our healer was you know, double action, clearing off status effects and then following up with a heal. If we were super low, it was doing a double right as rain to really heal everybody up to max. Like, for being auto battle, it was very smart. You know, generally in games, the auto battle option is just like beeline, bash your head against the target until it's dead with zero intelligence around move usage. And here it was very good. And so that gets huge kudos for me, because like I said, you know, nobody is playing through the story of Dragon Quest monsters or doing the grinding because, oh, the combat has immense depth to it. Like, it's simple. You know, you pick the right move for the right situation. You don't need to be a fucking Dark Souls master to do this shit. And so having auto battle just streamline that is super clutch. In terms of the fusion, had so much fun fusing up different monsters and mastering skills and then carrying over skills. And then pulling, you know, the unique skill combinations, the unique monster combinations, the potential for large monsters, the eggs. Loved every bit about it. I do think it would be... I think having access to that fusion list that the Japanese community put together, I think that definitely helped my enjoyment of the game, and I think that's one area it could have been improved. I think in your in-game monster compendium, for example, like monsters you have, you can see what the parent fusion was, but I think in the monster compendium, after you have caught something, or perhaps even after encountering it and beating it a certain amount of times, like let's say you beat something, I don't know, 3 times, 5 times, whatever the case is, have it populate the tree and show you what you need to craft that in the game. I think giving that resource to players would have been really helpful, because otherwise, like some of the stuff, I mean, your average player without looking up a guide, there's just no way they're going to be able to craft up to something like, you know, Crystalinda or Uber Killing Machine or Corvus. It's just very, very unlikely. You know, it's kind of a, you know, how long does it take monkeys to write Shakespeare type situation? Because there's so many different unique combinations. And so I think keeping newer players to the franchise informed of that would have been very beneficial. I still had fun despite that, but like I said, I think it's definitely an area that could have been improved. Talking about world design a bit, really had fun with the different worlds. All of them obviously incredibly distinct. I think Circle of Caprice was probably my favorite, especially that final dungeon doing the water puzzle. That one threw me for a loop. So I had a lot of fun there. I do think the more puzzle-centric nature of the later dungeons was a lot more enjoyable. Early on, I think the dungeons were, you know, for the most part, early on the dungeons were just kind of meh. It's just you went through them. You know, it wasn't anything too crazy. And then you get to the end, and it's like a whole different you know, a whole different ball game, trying to figure out the puzzles. Whereas before, it's just kind of like, you know, you go through it, you know, with nothing too crazy. You know, checking side areas and whatnot. So I really like the emphasis on the puzzles towards the end of the game. And besides that, lots of just little goodies to find as you explore the world. You know, mini medals, eggs, metal slime spawns, unique upgrade mats. I know there's also some stuff involving, I was going to mention the accessories, but I know there's accessories that you can unlock after beating the game. You can start fusing them. I think that's something that probably would have been nice to have a little bit earlier, but, you know, we obviously did fine without them. So it's not something you need, but I always think it's cool to have something like that. In terms of other things that I think that would have been good earlier, honestly, I feel like the Molehole DLC, I think that should have been part of the base game, because it is very advantageous. You know, obviously it's just going to be time saved. I wouldn't say it's like pay to win, but having access, being able to just go in and recapture monsters that you have previously caught, I mean, God, dude, that let me ramp up my team so much faster. If I had to make stuff from scratch for every single monster or go out and catch, my options would have either been just push the game, just beeline the story through until I can start catching the higher levels, or alternatively doing a shit ton more farming. And so the Molehole definitely saves a lot of time on that note, being able to just accelerate the development of your team. And I think it's significant enough to where players that don't have that, it's definitely a disadvantage. It's undeniably a disadvantage because it's going to take so much more time. And I think that's something that it would have been nice if they just gave the access of that to all players of the title. Talking about sound design, obviously very iconic Dragon Quest. You know, you either you enjoy it or you don't. You know, the sound effects in this game have been established over years and years. The music was there were a couple little, I think my favorite just soundtrack in this game is still anytime you go down to fusion, it's just like like just popping off every time. I was bobbing my head along to that. I will say the Japanese voice acting, phenomenal. I think my favorite was still the Raph encounter. That dude was crazy. The giraffe guy, he was going off. So I had so much fun with that. Besides that, let's see what else did I mention? Sound design, we talked about gameplay. I mean, yeah, honestly, this was just a phenomenal experience. I had so much fun with this. Now, I would be remiss without commenting on it, and I think it's a very nuanced thing to mention when it comes to reviews, but given this is a single platform game, I think it's even more so important, and that is performance. Considering how far the Switch is in its life cycle and the graphical fidelity this game asks for, there is absolutely no fucking reason this game should run as poorly as it does. There's none. There's no excuse. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they just have too many polygons in the monsters, or what the case is, but like the load times, I was able to manage with those, but like there were, you know, FPS drops. There were times where we'd see monsters in the background straight moving at like 10 FPS, like they looked like, you know, a paper animation or something where you're flipping through a paper book. So I don't know what the fuck happened there, but you know, I could maybe I could understand if this had come out on like PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series S, Series X, Nintendo Switch, Steam, mobile phones, and they were trying to optimize it for like 20 different platforms. But like, bruh, all y'all had, you had one platform, the Switch, with one set of specs. There's no reason this should run as poorly as it does. Absolutely no reason. And I mean, at the end of the day, you know, I still got through the game. It didn't negatively impact my experience to the point where I wanted to stop playing. But it is incredibly disappointing how poor the performance is. This could, you know, there should not be any fucking frame issues for a game like this. None whatsoever. This should be the maximum frame rate that a Switch console can push out. The load times in this should be a bit better. Yeah, definitely needs some work there. So if we are not counting the performance issues aside, I would put this as a 5 out of 5 game. If we're counting the performance issues, I think I would knock it down to a 4 out of 5 game. But if you're fine dealing with the lower frame rate and whatnot, I mean, I had so much fucking fun playing this. And even going into it, I was very hesitant at first, you know, because, I mean, how often do y'all see me do turn-based games on the channel? Almost never. Usually because I get bored of them. And I downloaded the demo. I was like, you know what? Before I commit to doing this for December, let me grab the demo, let me play, find out if I'm going to enjoy it. And then sunk a shitload of time into the demo and was like, yeah, this is going to line up just right. And, you know, loved it. Wasn't getting burnt out on it. Still want to do the post game. Still want some more monsters to fuse. Damn good experience. If you're a fan of Shin Megami Tensei or Pokemon or, you know, any type of game that involves monster capturing, you owe it to yourself to pick this up.
ランディオル大帝を打ち破った少年だったお前が父を倒すと誓ってからどれほどの月日が流れたであろう。あの時のお前は人間になることを拒み魔族として生きる道を選んだ。今はどうだ。魔族と人間どちらとして生きる道を望むのか。そうであろうな。お前はそう言うと思っていた。その姿のまま生きていくがいい。それが本当のお前なのだ。
I thought we could fuse the Zenith Dragon, but I'm thinking we can't.
魔族であり人間でもあるものよ。いずれまた会う日があろう。
I was waiting for like the thank you for playing screen. Oh, we're getting it to be continued instead. Okay.
長い旅がようやく終わったな。しばらくはゆっくりしようぜ。あ？またすぐに旅に出る？仲間のモンスターをもっと強くしたいって？やれやれ。お前の旅には終わりってもんがねえな。わかったよ。俺もまだまだ魔法の素材を探すとするか。よし、じゃあ行くぞ。あちあちだぜ。
Also, I didn't mention it, but it's really cool that this is, you know, this is basically just a prequel to Dragon Quest IV. I never played Dragon Quest IV, but I bet people who did are probably like extra vibing with this. Which I don't know. Let me see if I don't know if I ever shared it.
神を求めてむせぶ声はなぜ生まれたかと
Let me pull it up real fast. Yeah, so like in DQ4, this is MC. This is Psaro when he's all grown up and extra badass. So kind of cool to see the young kid version of him.
憂うとぞまた旅に出るのかい兄さんいや会いに来たよどうしても伝えたいことがあってね兄さんは覚えてるこの世界に地獄の帝王エスタークが3体いたこと僕はついに見つけたのさ最後のエスタークビエンドゥーラを彼は眠りから覚め精霊樹の森へ向かったこのままでは世界は再び火の海と化すだろう兄さん僕と一緒に彼を駆除しようよ精霊樹の森へはこれで行けるだろう
Rainbow Travelite.
向こうで待ってるきっと来てくれるね兄さん
So I want to check. I think I can. I think since we beat him, I'm pretty sure the metal slime spawn rate is like drastically increased. So I want to go confirm. I know we can find rainbow eggs now, which are insane. Let's see, this is my my metal farming route. There's none here. Go to Toothache Lake. Sometimes there's one over here. None there. We would go Circle of Temple, Cubic Quarry. Sometimes one right here. And the last one is over here. Actually, I think there's a better farm now that we're in post-game. Come on, get up. Get up. Let me see. I think we go... Let me see. It says, It says warp to the northwestern tower. Northwestern tower, southeast, and then the Spot of Hope. And there's 3 different king locations that we can potentially find them. So we go northwest tower and we run this way. See if we'll luck out and get one real fast. And we are going pretty much up to like the lava. Looks like they should be right alongside the lava. I need to get my Legios up. Excuse me, Corvus, as the game calls it. So none right here. Southeast. Looks like a lot of them just, they stay around this middle thing. So the thing I'm looking at suggests, I'll show it to y'all. That's what we're looking at. That is the route that we're trying to follow here. Which, as a reminder, that wiki is in the description of the video, so if anyone else is trying to hunt down the metal slimes or figure out fusions or whatever the case is, very easily accessible. So the one here is not up, and the last one it has is Hopeful Haven, and just run outside of that for one real fast. It might be after the hidden boss that this shows up. I wasn't sure if it's after the campaign is done or after the hidden boss. But I know that this is considered one of the better worlds for egg hunting, just because you can get up top and then you can see if any are up. If there was a metal slime, we would have run into it already. No metal slimes, sad. Alright, well, let's go put down that travel light, get to the new zone, and then we'll probably wrap up before exploring it, but let's get there, see what we have in store.
ここには支配者がいなさそうだな。倒した魔物もすぐ仲間になりそうだ。
来てくれたんだね、兄さん。さあ行こう。今こそビエンドゥーラを駆除する時だ。そうだ。この地にいる間は僕の
I don't trust your ass, Ludo. Alright, well, since we're about to move on to the final zone, let us wrap up here. We will explore this and figure out this stuff in the next episode. Unlock some of the post-game goodies. But anyway, catch y'all soon.